Who Watches the Rewatchers, a Buffy rewatch podcast.
Alan, have you ever heard of a Karen? This cultural phenomenon called a Karen?
Of course.
When I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer last night, specifically episode 2 of season 3, Dead Man's Party, I realized that Joss Whedon and gang were on to the Karen before there was such a thing, but this time her name is Pat.
That's right. That's right.
Dead Man's Party. You know, it's when you Google that, you'll realize that this is a name of a famous song by Oingo Boingo, which
That's right.
I did not realize that they're being cheeky with the reference, but here we are. If you hear me and you hear Alan, you know this is Who Watches the Rewatchers, or Buffy the Vampire Rewatch podcast. And as I said, we're in episode 2 of season 3, Dead Man's Party. Did you like this episode, Alan?
You know, I have mixed feelings about this episode, but when Giles is muttering to himself, "Do you like my mask?" It cracks me up every single time I see that scene.
Yeah. Americans, yes. Well, let's dive in because I'm actually, I want to talk about this mask, and it makes me want to just start talking about it. So why don't we dive into this episode?
Let's do it.
This is the one where now we after the first episode where Buffy deals with stuff elsewhere and comes home, we got to deal with the fallout. We got to deal with what does it mean to her mom and to Giles and to the gang that she just bounced and scared them and left them alone. You know, there's that initial "we're glad you're back," but also now we've got to sort through all those feelings, and that's really, I think, what the episode's all about. Maybe there's another metaphor in there, but that a mask might reveal or something. But yeah, we're dealing with drama.
Yeah, man.
At the very beginning of the episode, Buffy is in her house in the evening, and Joyce is hanging up this what turns out to be a Nigerian mask given to her by a friend at the gallery. Everyone knows that Joyce works at some art gallery doing. We don't exactly always know, but I thought this was just the strangest beginning of the story. The mask itself is not like bedroom decor. It is not comforting. It is not peaceful. It is a menacing looking mask. It's got sharp teeth. I mean, and it's like, if you just watch the wall placement here, it's sort of a small little place to put something that supposedly, you know, I mean, and also let's talk about the fact, is this an African artifact that some white family in LA or south of LA gets to hang up? It's just a flimsy excuse from the writers to get a mask on the wall that has magic powers, right?
Well, okay, so I will note this, that it looked to me like there was at least some other African artifact on the other side of the window. So it was almost like she was trying to frame the window with these two African artifacts.
Yeah, okay. Well, so she's gone to Pottery Barn or something.
Yes.
But, I like how
it's still very flimsy. I'm in agreement with you. I just thought I'd mention it.
I like how it cuts away though, and now she's out walking by herself.
Yes.
And she sees some tall, dark, and strange something lurking. And this is her introduction to Xander, which I appreciate because as Xander turns around about to stake Buffy thinking she's a vampire, you see Xander's face and this, I don't know, like cartoonishly huge cross dangling around his neck.
Yes.
And that's, I thought, you know, Nicholas Brennan played it well, like in terms of his facial expression acting. He looks like he's seeing a ghost. And he does. There's a lot of emotional weight. He's seeing Buffy for the first time, and she's got zingy one-liners.
But she, of course, is seeing Nighthawk.
Yes, she's heard them give each other their code names, right?
Yeah,
And
so they're giving each other names.
through the walkie-talkies. Nighthawk, are you okay? Nighthawk, are you okay? Yeah. And so there's a zingy one-liners about that, and but the drama and tension gets cut by a vampire, of course, and then fisticuffs takes place. And to the fisticuffs, all the rest of the Scoobies come running in, and it's kind of cool because you get to see them all in team mode. Even Cordelia fighting, Willow fighting, Oz is fighting, and there's this moment where Cordelia gets pushed into Buffy, and she's like, "Oh, hi, Buffy." Buffy saves the day, and then the camera pans across the Scoobies, and they all have this like dumbfounded look. up at Buffy, and I thought that, and they really linger on it. They go one direction and back,
Yes.
really
Yes.
cementing the strange feels. Cut to credits, right?
Cut to credits.
Mm.
Cut to credits.
Now, I wonder because this episode's going to have deal a little bit with Buffy going back to school, which means Principal Snyder's involved, and I was wondering if you were excited about that.
Oh, of course, of course. Actually, I don't think we've quite gotten there yet, but because you brought it up, I do want to mention this has one of my favorite Buffy Joyce dialogue moments of all time, where they're trying to figure out what to do with Buffy's school, because she's left school, and they don't know if they're going to be able to get her back into school, and and they're talking about options. They could go to this school or that school, or maybe they could do homeschool. It's not just for crazy Christian people anymore.
Yeah, yeah. The funny thing is, I was again a senior in high school when this was, or yeah, when this season was happening, and I was watching it live, and I was a Christian, and I went to church and stuff.
Sure, sure,
I
sure.
identify such, and when I do recall watching this, going, yeah, right, because even back then, I felt like it was sort of like if you met a homeschool kid out in the wild,
Yeah.
you were like, I mean, you wanted to poke it with a stick. It was like it was not. we had we had bias. I mean, I remember I went to some church thing and some kids told me they're homeschooled, and I was just like, to me, while I was watching like National Geographic, I wanted to ask them questions about their life.
Yeah, sure. The reason that I brought that one up is because here at the university where I teach, I would go so far as to estimate that over half of my students were homeschooled.
Well, I think it really is true. I mean, I think it really is common now, and alternative forms of education, and it's not just simply because of religious tendencies. Sometimes it's, I mean, my mind got changed on it when I had a professor who I thought, I mean, I looked up to him like just a ton. I really respected his, not only his intellect, but his family. He has kids come around the office a lot, and they were just crackerjack smart, and they're reading the same stuff we were reading in our college literature classes, and I thought, oh, these kids can do more quicker, with one-on-one or one-on-two instruction. So there's advantages, I guess. Um, at any rate, after the credits, we go to this moment where I think it's sort of like community care and community responsibility. The Scoobies basically force Buffy to Giles' apartment to let Giles know. I think I mean, they do a good job in this episode showing that they've all lived in some sort of emotional torment in her absence together, and they shared that trauma. Uh, Anyhow, so she tries to squirrel out of it, but nevertheless, she reveals that she's returned, and Giles is relieved, of course, and then we catch up with her in the really cool Walter apartment.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Where he makes
So
tea.
where yeah, he makes tea, and he's rather understated. I do like the range in this episode for Giles. Uh,
Yes.
um, sad, longing father. He puts on the British stiff upper lip, and then when he goes away to make the tea, you could see the
Yeah.
more tender relief. And then later we get a really cool bit with him and the principal, which we'll talk about. Um,
That's
let's
right.
talk about Joyce and Buffy with Principal Snyder.
Okay. Okay. So my 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 take there is there are a couple things that I thought were interesting from a visual storytelling perspective. Um, Before we talk about the actual like content of the conversation, um, I think we've talked about this before. Have we talked about Shatner lighting before?
You have, but remind me again. Is it like
Okay,
lighting
so
around
so
the
so
eyes?
yeah, it sure is. The idea is that there are basically three lights you're trying to organize around any subject. It's a key light, which is the main light on the person. Something called a fill light, where you're trying to like fill in the shadows on the other side, but you don't want it to be as bright as the key light.
Mm.
Um, and then the third light that you put on a subject can be a number of different things. A lot of people use it as a backlight, so there's like a rim around the subject. But sort of a trick that got going in the mid 20th century was this idea of having like barn doors on a really, really harsh light, that would really only be seen easily by the camera, and then putting that light across, you know, the almost like a domino mask across the eyes, and except lit instead of dark. And it was used a lot in Star Trek, especially the second episode of Star Trek. And so as a result, a lot of people just started calling it Shatner lighting as sort of a joke that stuck. But what I found really interesting is that in this conversation with Principal Snyder and Joyce, specifically, they are almost inverting the Shatner lighting. They're doing like a hard light on the bottom part of her face, so that Joyce's eyes are what are in shadow.
Yeah, Joyce's and Buffy's. I'm
Yeah,
looking at that frame right now, which Snyder sort of backlit because the
yeah.
was behind him. Yeah, that's interesting because they have the blinds, so there are going to have like different levels of light, but it is really accentuated on the top of their heads.
Yeah, and I think that they're trying to do like a metaphorical, we're trying to hide things that happen sort of thing with this visual look. I'm not sure that it's really coming across the way that they intend for it to, but I did want to point out that, you know, Buffy, for better or worse, they do a really good. I think they do a really good job of trying to push visual metaphor and cinematic concepts as much as they can in the show. They're not able to push it as hard as you would on a major motion picture because they just don't have the time.
Do you think
You know?
maybe that this is trying to say, you know, like they are veiling, like they're veiling the truth, but
Hmm.
they're speaking some truth, but they're veiling a deeper truth. You know what I'm saying? They're not
Yes,
telling the
yes.
whole story. They're not saying she's a slayer, you know?
Yeah, right. Of course
Yeah,
not. Of course
yeah,
not. That's
yeah.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Um, so the content of the conversation is that they're trying to get Buffy back into school. Snyder is very resistant to it, and
He's
Joyce,
delighting. He's
yeah,
delighting
he's
being
that's
he,
right.
with that mint or whatever. He's just enjoying putting her down, really.
Totally agreed. But Joyce actually like shows some backbone here and like really basically says, look, this is gonna happen if I have to take it all the way to the mayor. And Snyder's reaction to her saying she's gonna take it to the mayor is pretty funny. But
Yeah.
but in such a subtle way that like we don't really understand why he reacts that way until later in the season.
Right, right. It's interesting just thinking about things from a typical perspective of life, like what's the mayor got to do with it, right? That
Yeah,
you
right.
know, in men, you know, in this world, he's I mean, he's a big boss, right? You know, city boss, but
Sure.
yeah. It's actually after this on the drive back to school or somewhere, I guess drive back home,
Yeah.
Joyce is on her way to work. That's where the whole bit about homeschooling comes up. Because Joyce
Yes.
is saying, hey, there's some good private girls' schools. And Buffy doesn't want anything to do with that.
Right.
Um, well, when Buffy comes home now in the afternoon, this is where we get a glimpse of Pat. She's walking up the walkway, and this I can't describe her to the contemporary audience any other way than just to call her like a Karen sort of white lady, like which is you know mean to a lot of people, I guess. But she's like
Yeah.
overly involved or overly interested,
Right.
otherwise appearing on the surface to be milk toasty, blonde lady who has made a friendship with Joyce, and it's she does the same sort of thing that Ted did in the last season, where she just seems
Mm.
to violate knowledge or know too much, although it's less creepy because it's I think it's less evil.
Right.
She's just becoming a friend to a worried Joyce. Um, but, you know, this is how Buffy finds out about this new friend too. It's without Joyce talking about her or introducing her, it's happening outside of Joyce. So much happens outside of Joyce's purview. And
Right.
and so Buffy's getting the 411, I guess, from this lady. And, it makes her feel worse. It makes her feel like she feels that, shame of having made her mom feel scared.
Right, right. I think that at that point, Buffy is starting to really feel the weight of what she's done to her friends. Like she I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about Buffy's reaction to what happened last season and and the idea that she felt that she needed to run away and not be part of any of her friends or family's lives, potentially forever. And it took her this experience that we talked about last episode to decide that she was going to come back. Like, do you feel that that's like a realistic or reasonable response? Like, I don't know. If something like that had happened to me, I probably would have leaned into my friends and family.
Yeah, I don't think it's reasonable insofar. I mean, insofar as we're talking about pure reason, but it might be reasonable for a teenage person, to think that way.
Sure.
In a more childish phase, it's like, let's go run away. I'm going to run away from home now. My 6-year-old told me he hated me because I wouldn't let him have what he wanted to have.
Sure.
Those sorts of things happen, right? So I'm thinking, well, she thinks she's had this love of her life that she's had to kill, and then she's been out of shape with her mom. I would say that's probably reasonable with the inevitability that she was always coming back.
Okay.
After having a conversation with her mom about what's to come and stuff, and it's still awkward. It's like it's sort of like life has gone on without Buffy. That's what you're also
Yeah.
starting to get in the scene. Life's gone on without her, yet there's an emotional stunting where it's stayed in place and things aren't resolved.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like this weird musical notes being played as she goes downstairs. She's running some errand downstairs in the basement. She's looking through items, and they're in a very creepy way. A dead cat falls out of this old like storage area, and it's very reminiscent of Pet Sematary or something. We cut to Buffy digging a hole in a manicured garden area, and Joyce is throwing the dead cat remains in a bag in the hole, and they're doing this strange little thing to various cat. And I'm watching this, and I've seen the exterior for the front of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and many times over, and this is like a side to side rear shot. It's just interesting because it doesn't look like the same house to me. Which is quite plausible for filming, but it also doesn't look like Southern California to me. This looks like this looks like places I've seen in Central Illinois. It looks like places I've seen in Georgia. I mean, it just looks a little different. And I don't know. I just honestly just even watching it last night without I'm pausing it as we watch right now. Watching it last night, it just took me kind of out of the world. Like I almost didn't buy it. It felt more farmhouse like.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Interesting.
interesting. It's something I've noticed.
Well, the reason that I think that it's interesting is because I know that they never shot inside of that house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The set for Joyce's house was in their warehouse.
Yeah.
And they just had a house that they had licensed to use as the Buffy house that they shot from the exterior from time to time.
You can see that on Zillow right now, and people go and look at it, which is, I bet, annoying to the owners. What I noticed that Joyce says when they're burying the cat is, "Do you want to say something?" And Buffy's like, "What? Sorry you died." Joyce says, um, like, "I'm sorry. I hope you lost your way. I hope you find it. We hope you find it." I think that's like sort of the verbal metaphor, right, for the show.
Yes.
For the episode.
Yes.
We hope you find it. Shrug his shoulders. Like, that's kind of where Buffy is here. Sorry that you
Yeah.
lost your way. We hope you find it. And I don't know how intentional it is. I mean, I think the line's intentional, but I don't know how intentional the emotive moment is, because it's sort of well, I guess we have to say something.
Right.
And shrug of the shoulders, and like, we hope you find your way. Like it is a well wish, but it's like, what else are you supposed to say? This is who you are. You're a dadgum cat. And I feel like it's so very true for Buffy's real role as the Slayer. Sorry, dems to breaks. I do hope you find your way, but you are the Slayer. You are this animal. I mean, I not to try to project too much into it, but it feels almost that distant emotionally.
Well, I'm going to throw one more thing at you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one of the rarely unstated themes in this episode, because usually they name them the way that you just described. That's clearly one of the things that they're trying to talk about in this episode. But I think that one of the unstated themes of this episode is trying to show a contrast between the idea of isolation and community.
Mm.
And I think we're coming up on that pretty soon. And I think that I think that the idea of the party that's coming up and the zombie walk that's coming up, I think all that stuff has to do with this idea. And right now in the first half of the episode, we're getting all the isolation moments. We're going to get all the community moments.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Let's hang on that thought because I think later we can really reflect on the loneliness within community and loneliness.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next scene is Buffy's dream sequence where we get to see Angel.
Well, not yet.
Okay.
It cuts right to the clock. It's 11:34. Buffy's lying down for sleep, and then just real briefly, you see this Nigerian mask. The eyes light up red.
Oh, the eyes light up.
And then you
Yes.
see the cat come out of the ground. Okay, so
Right.
so that tips you off before she dreams, and now she goes into that dream sequence. It's daytime, and go ahead with it.
So I think that it's really interesting when Buffy has her prophetic dreams because it's one of the few like mystical superpowers of the Slayer. Mostly the Slayer is about
kicking butt,
strength. Yeah. But the other thing that I'll say from a production standpoint about the dream, okay, so the dream is her wandering around
Sunnydale
her
High.
house and then Sunnydale High, completely alone, completely isolated, which is what made me think to say the thing about isolation versus community. But from a production standpoint, I wonder if they were contractually obligated to get David Boreanaz in every single episode, or if they were just trying to make sure they were hinting that he was coming back.
I don't know. I do note that it's sunlight, right?
Yeah.
His skin is less pale, and it's almost like in these dreams they've done it before where they're showing him to be more vital, if that makes sense. I don't know, but that's an interesting thing. If he's contractually to be in or not, I don't know. I guess time will tell of how we feel it holds up when he does come back around. It cuts from that to her waking up at 7 a.m. and it's sunny out. And I'm always, whenever I see this, I'm always just slightly annoyed and envious. Like, first off, I always feel like when you get, in TV world, when kids get up for school and they're having breakfast, it's sunny and nice out. Every one of us that's gone to school in real life knows that when you're getting ready for school and work, it's dark out. But everything just seems so much brighter.
Yes.
But this leads to the next morning, and she's having another conversation with Joyce about school, speaking with Principal Snyder. Now she's talking about the possibility of going to an all-girls school, which makes, to your point, Buffy feel even more isolated. I mean, it's put under the auspices of that she doesn't want to wear, a uniform and kilts.
Right.
But she's frustrated. She speaks out, and then her mom lets her know, hey, there are consequences to your actions, and this may be one of them. She's very frustrated as a mom rightfully would be.
Yeah. I love that Joyce says, it's not your fault that you have special circumstances. And
right.
Buffy's reaction is, I'm the Slayer. I'm not retarded or whatever,
Does she use that word, does she?
I don't remember what she says. But it's something to the effect of how she doesn't feel like it should be, how her circumstances are not special.
Yeah. They're using that term the same way that we used to use that other term. Well,
that's
Joyce
right.
opens the door, and very, very mangy cat comes in.
That's right.
That very another Pet Sematary sort of moment. And then the next, that's on the back door. I think it's kind of cool. I don't know if this is intentional. That's the back door, kitchen door. And then it cuts right away to the front door being open and Giles walking in with a trap to catch the cat. I don't, maybe that's just the use of space, but it was like front door, back door. Back door that the evil came in, front door comes in Giles. Does that, I don't know if that tracked with you, but
that tracks with me. I think that's a good observation.
I thought that was a cool cut. And, but the cat is just dead. It doesn't do much. Giles just fishes it out from under something, puts it away, and he's gonna go do what Giles does, which is to investigate it.
Right.
Speaking of all this, and I referenced Pet Sematary twice.
Yeah.
Have you read it or have you watched it? The original?
Yeah, I've actually read it and seen both filmic versions.
What do you think of them? Are you a fan?
I I think they're okay. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm not a huge Stephen King fan, but I think that he's done a good job of like tapping into um he does a good job of tapping into things that I think are generally creepy or generally seem to be in the psyche of Americans, you know.
Well, that first
Um
movie when it came out, I mean, it messed with me, and it was that one scene in the
really.
flashback where the woman had to feed her dying.
Yeah.
They say,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
oh gosh, that got to me when I was a kid, younger or whatever."
Well, so okay. So full disclosure, when
Mm.
I saw it, I was probably a little bit older than you, number
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Number two, I was looking at it through the lens of being a Star Trek fan and being annoyed that Tasha Yar had like quit Star Trek in order to go do that movie.
yeah. That is really they're really nerdy. I don't even know what those words mean. Who that is? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I like it because no, cutting back to the show, our show. I like it because
Yeah,
next scene of the cat we get some good Oz moments right in front of the crate going, well, it looks dead, it smells dead,
yeah,
but
yeah,
here
yeah.
it is.
But it is still
Um,
moving around. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and they're in school with this dead cat. It's kind of cool, kind of whatever. Uh,
And this is the scene when they decide that they're going to throw Buffy a party, and they have a conversation with Oz about it,
what kind
and
of
Oz
party is
has
it?
his. That's right. That Oz has his classic line: "Is it going to be a shindig or a hootenanny?"
Yeah, gathering a shindig or hootenanny. I like that she says, I'm the dip. I bring the dip. It's what I bring. That's Cordelia. That's really great.
Yeah, yeah, right,
That's a
yeah, right.
good bit. And by the way, Cordelia's really nice in this episode.
Yes,
What he says is it a gathering, a shindig, or a hootenanny? And everyone's like, what's the difference?
right.
And then he's like, a gathering is a bright, mellow kind of thing. Shindig is, less mellow, but there's dip and malt beverages or whatever. And the hootenanny, it's like chock full of hoot, just a little bit of nanny. And and quite obviously what they need to do is put together the gathering and have the dip and all that stuff. But I think they're all feeling a bit alienated from her and don't want to be alone. They don't want to be,
Right,
right?
right. And Giles is actually the one who comes in as the voice of reason and says, "Well, maybe we need to do something a little bit more intimate than that, than having a party." And he gets outvoted by the Scoobies. So they're going to throw a party,
A hootenanny.
a hootenanny. That's right.
I don't think in Oz's band's gonna play, and I don't think they're gonna
Yeah.
even ask Joyce. This is sort of kind of crazy. Um, Even Willow's delusional. She's like, "Hey, even more reason to make her feel welcome. Let's put on a big party." And it's all awkward, so they vote him out, or they vote against him, and so they're gonna have the big party. And ah, yeah, I don't know, man. I cringe. I sighed because I cringe. This party was it's not just that Buffy's expecting a dinner party and has a nice dress and is setting out the nice dishware and is nervous about being in intimate conversation with her friends.
Yeah.
It just takes me back to like 1990s teen movies and their party scenes
Yes.
and all the weird antics they put in there and
Hmm.
it's so to me uncanny to reality that well we'll get there, but that's just how it just feels like what they do or they did was copy. So you have like a film scene or a TV show scene of a teen party. It was a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and
Mm.
they just get
Hmm.
sort of like more ridiculous.
Yes,
Um,
I
who's the
agree.
first who's the first party guest to show up for Buffy?
Isn't it Pat?
It's Pat.
Hmm.
And yeah, and she's weirded out by this, and Joyce comes down. It's like, oh, I needed my friends too, but the next party guests are the band.
Or the band. Where do you want the band to set up?
So that means Buffy is thrown off by the first guest and everyone else. Like at first it's well, I didn't expect Pat, but now it's like, what is the band doing here? And it's just
Right.
complete disorientation. And then we cut to now the party scene, which I've been to a lot of house parties. They never look like this. Bands in a living room like this. How can you hear? But and they play on that, and there's the red Solo cups and kids partying. Willow's totally into the band. She's sort of sonically avoiding Buffy with the band, and Buffy just wants to have a quiet conversation, and you can feel the tension.
Yes, you can. And Buffy tries to talk to Willow about it and tries to say, hey, I feel like you're avoiding me.
Right.
And Willow's reaction to say, she's not avoiding. Here we are. I'm here. You're here. We're here. We're good.
Right.
But the way that it's said, the nonchalantness, the body language of it all, it's really super clear that they're not good, and it's very, very well executed. But this is when we finally get to see the mask light up. But go on. What were you
Well,
about to say?
the camera zooms in on the drummer, which always kills me in these shows. Like, why they just need to stay away from the drummer. He's not hitting cymbals. It's
Right.
just anyway. I wish
Right.
they would do that better. Yeah. So yeah, the camera's gonna, or the camera, the mask is gonna light up, and is our hoot gonna become a nanny at this point? Uh, the mystical spirits and things converge upon this party scene.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So what happens first? Who we know that every time the lights of the eyes of the mask light up,
Somebody
something.
comes from the dead. Somebody
Yeah.
comes back from the
What's
dead.
the first one that happened?
The first one is someone who I think died in a car accident who's down the road somewhere. We see the
Yeah,
cops. We see the guy laying on the ground. We see him open his eyes and stand up.
that's right. This is where I think they got to have a little fun with the makeup department, and
Yeah,
yeah, one eye it's like bloodshot red, and a minute later we're gonna see somebody in the ER who's got as a burn victim. They make him look as much like Freddy Krueger as possible.
sure.
He gets off the table and kills everybody. But at the party, the second people that Buffy tries to talk to is really Xander, but Xander's in the middle of making out with Cordelia in the middle of
Right.
and she keeps kissing his neck and his ear as he's talking to her. And I've thought about this every time I've seen this. I am so ticklish. I would never know how to be able to film this. If someone were kissing on my neck and I were to remember my lines, I would just be giggling the whole time. But hey,
Okay. So I'm gonna. So I made a short film. Oh my gosh, maybe 15 years ago now, and I'm bringing this specific one up because um, the actors that I had for it were people from. Do you know the Shakespeare Tavern downtown?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it was a bunch of people from the Shakespeare Tavern, and there was a scene where they had to be kissing, and I was amazed because it looked great on camera, but they weren't actually kissing. Like
Ah,
there was no touching happening.
ah,
And
well,
um I'm assuming something like that was happening here. Is the reason I'm
hey,
I'm responding to you.
maybe so. Maybe so. Well, she's frustrated, can't talk to them. Cordelia's totally into Xander. She calls him Nighthawk. And
Right.
we go back to another zombie coming back, and then Buffy's just trying to be at the party as these party guests who don't know her are making a mess and not picking up. And you get this now you get the two stoner guys smoking, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Who's this
sure.
party for, bro? I don't know. I heard some chick who got out of rehab."
Right.
And,
Right.
and the question is always asked in these movies, like, where are the parents? Well, Joyce is in the kitchen where no kid dares to enter with her friend Pat drinking schnapps, and
Right.
it's just, to me, it's sort of cringeworthy. Like Pat's really like mining Joyce for answers and how she feels, and um, that one sip of schnapps opens Joyce's lips, right?
Yeah, right.
And she says, "Well, I thought I would, I love her. I thought I'd like having her back, but," which I don't understand she just says, "But in some ways, having her back is worse," and that's all Buffy here. Which sometimes it's a little frustrating in film and television how to get an action to happen, to get a character moving. What we do is we make such an egregious misunderstanding take place.
Sure. Sure, sure.
That's what happens. So Buffy hears that and she's like, "Okay, I'm out of here." She goes upstairs, starts packing, and then she's lovingly confronted by Willow, which I love. I actually love this.
Yes. Yes. So Willa comes in and she says, "Wait, wait, are you leaving again?" And then they finally start communicating is what's happening in this scene.
Right, right. Finally start
Mm.
communicating. But to break it up, you go back and forth. You see the for whatever reason, the Nigerian mask lights are almost like perpetually on,
Mhm.
and you start seeing zombie walk, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Lots of zombies walking. I guess they're drawn to the mask. They don't really get
Mhm.
into that, I don't think. Do
No,
they?
they don't. They definitely don't explain too much of it, with the exception of Giles sort of giving you the info dump of the fact that the mask is what's raising people from the dead. Although we kind of already knew that as an audience,
Hmm.
but Giles needed to go through that so that someone in the cast knew what to do about the zombies.
Right. Yeah, he's back at the library. He's not at the hootenanny. He reads it in a book. He calls on the phone to the party. This is where we get that. Now we're back at, there's a bunch of random party people. Someone answers the phone. They're like the party house, and he's asking for Buffy, and he's like, "Is there a buddy here?" And it's just I mean, it was so common in the 90s to have some like stoner surfer nondescript bro, and he's staying next to the guy with like a fishing hat on, and
Sure.
it's
Okay,
just,
so I have a theory about this. I have a theory about this. I think that all of those
blending.
stoner bros in the 90s were a reaction to people still trying to do Spicoli. Do you know this
Yeah,
reference?
absolutely. I mean, yeah, he set the mold, I guess, for that
Yeah.
character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was such a popular movie in the 80s that I think everyone was still sort of, you know, doing that bit until it got old enough that nobody wanted to do it anymore. I don't think I've seen too many quote unquote Spicolis in the last 10, 15 years.
I don't watch a lot of teen movies, but
Yeah.
I don't know. My 13-year-old daughter calls me bro, though. I think everyone's bruh, and now in the kids. But whatever. Yeah, so back up in the bedroom, Buffy's packing, and they have a very emotional confrontation between her and Willow. And Buffy thinks she's being attacked, and she says she's trying, and Willow goes, "No, it looks like you're giving up," which conflict's always hard, but this is a good one.
Hmm.
And hey, we're trying the best we can here. This is all hard, and it's
Right.
it's yeah, I don't know.
And then Joyce walks in and makes the conflict escalates.
Yeah. Yeah, she
Um,
she asserts the maternal sort of, you're not getting, yeah. She tries to put her foot down, and it's not good.
no, 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 no. So at that point, that's when Buffy sort of storms out. She says, "I don't know what I'm doing," and Buffy goes down the stairs. Both Willow and Mom are following her, and
Party's happening. It's so
yes,
loud you can't hear anybody, but when people start to hear Buffy and her mom like scold her, like it's like all of a sudden we can hear it, and it's a pall on the party. People start kind of creeping out. Like,
yes,
ah, yeah, this is like getting a bit, this is like killing the vibe, man. Um, it's cool because you get to see a cutaway. You get to see Giles' car, which you like, and that's where he says the fun stuff, where he's like muttering to himself, "Oh, do you like my mask?" Right?
yes, 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 yes. Isn't it pretty? It raises the dead. Um,
Americans.
yeah, yeah.
Which I
Well,
then
so
it,
at
what
that
he ends
point,
up doing is hitting a guy, right? Who's a
yeah, he
zombie.
hits a guy and he jumps out to see if he's okay, and then realizes that it's a zombie.
Yeah, and then what's crazy to me is that he hops in the car, and he realizes he's lost his keys. Uh, and I have this like belief, like there's no need for this moment except for to show that Giles knows how to hotwire a car.
Though, I actually think that that's a pretty good reason to have the shot. Because here's the thing. Until this moment, oh, is that true? That's not true. Okay, we've seen a couple hints that Giles is
Oh, he's the Ripper.
less straight-laced than we've been led to believe, and so this is just reminding you for the first time in this season.
Okay. Okay, because we're gonna get some of that at the end, but yeah, that's what ends up happening is that his keys, and he notices as I like how he's in the car fumbling around. Oh, he spots his keys, and it's at that moment the zombie is no longer moving like a zombie, but like a prize fighter, and rears
Yeah.
back. and breaks the window, and he hotwires the car and drives off. And,
Yeah.
back at the party, people are leaving as Joyce and Buffy and are going at it. But then it gets even worse because Xander is creeping in, and I mean, and then everyone is kind of corralling around, but no one speaks really except for Joyce, Buffy, and then Xander. And Xander is standing up for Joyce. Xander's showing a lot of anger. I think it's interesting, not interesting. I just I'm looking at Xander and I'm thinking he probably physically looks the best that we've seen him. And I know that he dealt with alcohol and drug. I don't know if he did this early on in his career, but
I don't know either.
they have him in such a way that he's looking really fit, looking healthy. I don't know. Maybe it's just I've got these images of him more recently in mugshots and he doesn't look good, But
Yeah.
he looks like he's afflicted. Afflicted is what I would say.
Well, so at this point in the argument, something comes out about Oz tries to break up what he perceives as a fight. Willow says, no, don't do this. Don't try to break it up. It's okay if it gets violent or something to that effect. And that's when the first zombie enters the house.
Well, we have to also note that this is
Please.
we get another note. We see Jonathan who
Oh yeah, sure.
You with the chip, and he's like, it's just they start sprinkling Jonathan throughout, which is fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's Giles is on his way, and the fight's happening, and it's the tension gets to break from literally violence, right? From more tension, the zombies start breaking into the house. It's at this point as as an adult male viewer, I start to wonder about the fallout from this attack. I start to wonder about what it's going to mean for their insurance. I start to wonder what it's going to mean for the police department, because almost immediately people start dying at the party.
Right.
The zombies, like one of the things the zombies do immediately there's someone that breaks a kid's neck, right? Like it's like at the and that was my first thought is like, what happens? Now, I think in a moment when we see the resolution, it gives some semblance of an answer, but I thought this was just like sort of a wild, it's just sort of a wild story, really.
It really is. And in some places, if you're really paying attention, you can see how paper thin some of the doors are where the zombies have cracked through.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, the Scooby Gang and Joyce run upstairs. They're trying to get away from the zombies. They see Pat laying on the floor. They grab Pat. They take her into the bedroom. They don't know that she's about to die herself and then get reanimated by the mask. There's a great scene where Oz and Cordelia are trying to hide from the zombies, and we get the beginning of their scene completely in blackness, so we only hear the dialogue and the sound effects. And then they open the door to try to come out and see what zombies are around, and of course that's when they finally encounter Giles, who's come to sort of tell them what's going on and save the day.
Let me ask you a question about zombies. Are you a fan of the running and wild zombies of 28 Days and Later and all that?
Yeah.
Or do you like the old, mindless? This is a combo. They're mindless.
Yeah, there's somewhere in between.
They can hop into windows and.
Yeah.
What do you like in a zombie flick?
I don't have a preference for which kind of zombie as long as it's consistent in the rules of the zombie landscape. Zombies, I think, are a great foil whenever the story is trying to say something about the mindlessness of the people that we're dealing with. And I'm not sure that that's exactly what they were trying to get to in this episode. I got to admit, the first couple times that I saw this one, when I was aware of this idea of Buffy trying to deal with problems from the perspective of metaphor, I had a hard time figuring out what the zombies would be a metaphor for. and I get why the party is a metaphor because of the whole isolation versus community thing. I think that the zombies. Here's my theory. You tell me what you think. I think that the zombies are a manifestation of this community idea, where the community is uncertain how to deal with itself. But I think more than that, maybe what they're trying to say is that the zombies are um, the ideas from the past that are catching up with not only Buffy but everyone else in this situation. Like um, Buffy is trying to deal with her trauma from having killed Angel and feeling rejected by her mother, but her mother's dealing with the idea that she rejected her daughter as a result of not really understanding where her daughter was coming from. And all of her friends are dealing with this idea that, like Xander, for example, did not convey the information that he was supposed to convey from Willow, leading up to the death of Angel. Right. Rather than saying, "Oh, Willow's trying to cast this spell," he said, "Willow told you to go get him," or whatever the line was. I don't remember precisely. So we have this confluence of all these things that people kind of don't want to drag up and rehash. They're trying to move forward, but the past keeps coming for them.
Yeah.
That's my best idea. I don't know.
I don't know. I do want to say before I tell you my thought on it, my favorite line in the episode might be, "Oh, Cordelia, stop being tiresome." And then she goes, "Oh yeah, you really are Giles." So, but yeah, I wonder if the metaphor has less to do with the zombies, and the zombies are just the effect of the evil, and the evil is the mask. And I wonder if the mask is the metaphor,
I think you're right. I think that's
masking
good.
over.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then there's too much emphasis on zombies and not enough on the mask.
Right.
The next part of the mask is focused is the dead Pat gets up and puts it on her face, and now she's some sort of super masked villain.
Right.
And yeah, she starts trying to destroy everyone. And the Scoobies, Buffy saves them, knocking her out of the window, rolling off the second floor and down into the yard. This sends Giles, who has found, as you mentioned, Cordelia and Oz, who are on their way upstairs, down, and they're heading towards the Buffy, who's in the yard fighting the demon Pat.
Right.
And Joyce and Will are still upstairs, but they get caught in the middle of the staircase on their way, and they're fighting. So we're on 3 levels of this house fighting. And the eyes light up one more time, and they shine in Buffy, and they shine in Oz's face.
Yeah.
And it's all because Oz is trying to communicate, "Hey, the eyes." And the whole shining into Oz's face is kind of I don't know, like a cue so that Buffy, or it gives time for the monster to look away so Buffy can be out of the thrall or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Really weak. Stabs her in the eyes. And then what I noticed is that Pat just disappears. And the zombie that Joyce is fighting with a baseball bat disappear. And
Right.
all the zombies disappear.
Right.
And I'm like, how are they going to account for that? Like, I was thinking about all the police reports of these murders but are they just gone? Did they never exist? Are they disappeared people now? What the heck is this? Not that the show
Yeah, I don't know. The show never really does answer those kinds of things, does it? Like it hints at it somewhere, I think in season 6, season 7, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But it never really answers those questions. That's pretty funny.
No, yeah, it's just the humor of the genre, I guess. And this brings the Scoobies back together, obviously. And we cut pretty hard from there to Principal Snyder's office, where now Giles pays a visit. And Giles is just uncharacteristic Giles. He's doing something different, which is just so, I mean, it's thrilling for the fan, because he's coming in with not the polite Britishness, but he's coming in with a sense of dominance. And he's like, "You're going to let her back in school."
Right.
And he goes, I'll take it to the state Supreme Court. But he just dominates him physically, stands over him, walks closer to him, and he's like, I can make life very difficult for you. And then he smiles. He says, professionally speaking. But it's a threat. It's all just a veiled threat the whole time. And then he grabs him. And he says, would you like me to convince you? And it's like, ooh, yeah. Anyway, we all love to see the Ripper come out a little bit.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think that they did a really good job of with Giles of showing him all or showing him in all of those different capacities in this episode. Like you said earlier in our discussion, that Giles gets a lot of range in this particular episode. It's good.
Well, that's it.
It's
It
good.
ends really with Buffy and Willow having, a heart-to-heart in a coffee shop, and they're talking about witchcraft, and Buffy's being a very good friend and a good listener. Yeah, I mean, and it's they're sort of back, so now they can continue along, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think it's sort of a serviceable episode in that it transitions us from the isolation of Buffy back to normal life.
Right.
It doesn't advance really the big mythology very much.
No.
Now I'm looking here at Wikipedia, and it says that Rhonda Wilcox and David Lavery described this episode as one of the most uncomfortable episodes in the series. These two they wrote that the zombies represent the group's failed attempts to bury their anger at Buffy, and they only achieve a partial catharsis by fighting alongside of her. They quote Xander, who says, "You can't just bury stuff, Buffy. It'll come right back to get you."
Right.
I guess that's it. Vox ranked at number 47 out of 144 episodes. They talk about the pain of watching the Scoobies fight. Yeah, every character seems to be has their point. Yeah, I mean, I think again it's serviceable for the storyline. Maybe the mask zombie metaphor is a little more opaque, a little more difficult, but it's certainly hard in this series because this is such a strong season. It's hard
Yes.
to have a standout because it's a strong, very strong season.
So where are we going next time?
Well, where do we go from here? I guess the next episode is, oh man, Faith, Hope, and Trick.
Uh-oh.
I look forward to this. I do. Trick is a cool character, but
And so is Faith.
so is Faith. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
That's good. No, I think the only other bit is I did like the very, very last moment of this episode where Buffy and Willow are chatting, and Willow sort of asserts a little bit. Okay, Willow in the first season was very meek and mild. She got a little bit more, I don't know, developed
Yeah.
as a person in the second season. Here, she's actively giving Buffy a hard time in a way that I wouldn't have expected from the incredibly meek and mild Willow of 2 seasons ago.
Agreed.
So she says, yeah, I'm giving you a little bit of a hard time, but I'll stop soon. Run away. I'm just kidding, quitter. All that stuff.
Yeah, I love that too.
And I thought that for a lot of the characters in this episode, there were just quick beats to help you understand where they are right now as a character, so that we're sort of setting up how they're going to interact over the next few episodes.
All right. Well, let's leave it with them for now and get to it next time. Have a good one, everyone.